Hello, it is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, back here for Daily Shakeup number 976. And today I want to ask you a question and share with you the question that's tied to that for me and my interaction with others, whether it be clients, whether it be friends, whether it be mentees, whether it be people sometimes that I've just run into and met. And the question I will almost always ask because it's become like muscle memory for me is if I'm going to offer them anything that might be perceived as feedback or perspective, whether it's positive, negative, neutral, I'm going to say to them, are you open to feedback? And I'm not going to share it unless they say yes. And there's a lot behind that. I've talked about that before. But here's the question. Most of you hearing that question would probably say, well, of course I am. I'm always open to feedback. And people say that I'm always open to feedback. But are you really open? Because there's two levels of openness. One is, are you literally open versus, you know what, not right now, because sometimes you might not be open. Hopefully there's a time where you'll be open, but we're not always open to feedback. That's naive to believe that. But a lot of times we'll say that we're open to feedback and we're really not. And here's the thing about feedback. You don't get to decide if you're open after the fact. A lot of us want to do that. We'll say, well, I was open to feedback, but not that feedback. Or I was open to feedback, but not the way you delivered it. Well, if that's the case, are you willing to give feedback on maybe a different way to deliver it, right? And a lot of times, part of the bigger problem is we're not really giving feedback. We're just sharing our judgments of other people. And feedback is very different than that. Feedback is not my conclusion about you. Feedback is something I'm experiencing, or a perspective, or a perception, or perhaps a position based upon something I witnessed or I heard or a combination. But here's the thing, if you want to grow as a human and as a leader, it's important to be open to feedback and genuinely open, not just in the words that you say, hey, I'm open to feedback, bring it on. But do you really receive it? Do you really let it in? You don't have to accept all feedback as true, but it's important to accept all feedback as true to the person giving it to you. Understand that's the experience they're having of you. So you can choose to ignore it, but ignoring it is different than choosing not to accept it in terms of saying, I don't think that's really true. It doesn't fit for me. But when you reject the feedback because you don't like it or you disagree with it, there's no learning opportunity. And ultimately, that's what feedback is about, learning and growth. Now, if you're like me, you'd agree that leaders need to learn and grow constantly, forever. In that case, it's important to be open to feedback in our words and our actions and on our energy. Love to hear your thoughts. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday.